All right, guys, here we go. 36 Chambers podcast. What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are doing good. This episode that I'm about to play, I just want to give a brief description on it because it isn't a standard podcast episode. What it is a test recording that just became a long conversation between my friend Kevin and I. Originally, I was just gonna record an episode with him, and I had a bunch of questions that I wanted to ask him and a bunch of topics that I wanted to go over. And since I was going to record the episode on an app called Anchor FM, so Anchor FM is a application basically that allows you to record and upload your podcast episodes, and it has a feature on there that allows you to record with your friends if they're not in the same room. The feature is called Record with Friends, and you can record an interview or just an episode with whoever isn't in the same room that you're in. You can record with them remotely, and all you have to do is send them a link, whether it be through Twitter or WhatsApp. You can even send it to them through just a text message. And as soon as they click on that link, they'll be uploaded to the Anchor FM recording that you will be using to record the episode. And I used that app when I recorded with Adrian. Normally we record in my friend Gabe's studio, but since he moved and he's getting everything set up, I just decided to use that app because Kevin lives in California. So I just figured that app would be a good choice to record an episode with him. So like I said, when I recorded an episode with Adrian, I noticed that at the end, when I listened to the recording after Anchor processed it, I noticed that we were both out of sync. We ended up drifting out of sync. So whenever I asked him a question, he would answer it before I even finished asking him. That let me know that we were basically out of sync. That's why before I had an episode with Kevin, I wanted to do a test. And lo and behold, that exact same thing happened. So the reason I want to play this episode for you guys or this recording for you guys, is because I want you guys to see what happens when a recording drifts out of sync. And I also just want to go over a few things that can be done to try to prevent this, because I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube that go over how to use this record with friend features on Anchor, but none of them talk about the possibility of your recording drifting out of sync. So I want to basically go over that, and basically at the end of the recording, I'll basically go over a few things that can be done to prevent this. Yeah, so here's the episode, and like I said, it wasn't intended to be a podcast episode. It was just going to be a test recording. So it's just basically me and my friend Kevin catching up. He lives in California. I haven't talked to him in for a good while. So we caught up a lot, and he's a barber in California. So he goes through the process of becoming a barber, which I found really interesting. And then we just go over our lives. So, it might not be something you guys are into, but the reason I'm uploading it is just because I want you guys to see the quality of the recording when you use that feature, and I want to go over things to prevent a lack of quality and drifting out of sync with your audio. All right, guys, here goes. Hello?
What's up, little Huesito?
Not much, man. Thank you so much for helping me do this. I just wanted to run this test really quick because when I first did the podcast with Adrian, there was a small delay. So it sounded like he was cutting me off. And because after, if I would ask Adrian a question, he would, in the recording after everything was finished, he would start answering my question before I even finished. So I don't know if there was some overlap there, because while we were talking, while it was being recorded, he waited for me to finish. So
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah,
No, I
but
mean, I'm sure it has a lot to do with like his internet connection and like the connection to the site and how much bandwidth he's pulling in at a time. And like if the recording is like turning his mic on at the right time and the way it lays it next to your audio. You know what I mean? I'm sure it has a lot to do with it. Could have been a lot of things.
hey, one thing I actually wanted to ask you, and I'll ask you again on the podcast, but you, do you cut your own hair?
No, no, man. There's no
No.
way. Literally, there's only one person I know who can cut their own hair very well, and that's my brother. My brother's the only person I've ever known who can cut his own hair and do it well. Like he could probably cut his hair better than like anybody could cut his hair. He uses just clippers and guards, like number guards, which
Yeah.
are like not like I don't use guards. Like I only use two guards. I only use a half guard and a one guard. And after that, it's like everything else is just like free-handed. Like it's all like a technique called clipper over comb or like shear over comb. Like I use like an actual comb. Like I don't just use like like oh like a number one, a number two, a number three, and a number four. Like I'll use like the machine, a half guard, and then pretty much from the half guard I just use like a free-handed technique. Yeah, but
Hmm.
my
You
brother
know,
can do like everything with like just plain guards. It's crazy.
yeah, that I've been cutting my hair since, I mean, I think I was like probably like 14, and uh I was so obsessed with trying to get a good fade for like the first 5 years. And I would start it off with like a number two and end up with a number zero on the sides just because I messed up so much that I had to go all the way down. And after a few years, I stopped caring about having it fade, and I just did a number two on the sides and did how much I ever had to cut off on the top. And yeah, that's how I've been doing it forever. And I tried to line up my sides by myself. My sideburns I could do no problem, but
Yeah, that's easy.
sometimes
Typically, what looks best is doing like a taper. Like something that blends down to pretty much where you can remove that line at the base of your nape, so that it tapers down from the occipital bone to the nape. So it's just like fades into nothing. Because the when you have those harsh outlines, those like blocked or rounded outlines, it
yeah.
you need a haircut so much sooner, because when the hair starts growing
Oh,
around your neck, you have those outlines, and the outlines get blurred by the hair growing around it, and then your neck just looks messy. So that's why it's better when you do no
man.
outline and a nice, or no outline on the bottom and just outline along, the sides of your head, because then you can shave it all down, and then it takes longer. So when the hair starts growing in, it looks more natural. You don't have that like hard line and then a bunch of hair growing around it. It just looks like it's all coming in at the same time. But my brother can like taper his own neck, and like, dude, it's fucking crazy. Like, I don't know how he does
You know what I always used to do too in high school that I was like, why did I ever do that, man?
it.
Like I'll be in the shower sometimes. Like I don't know if you do this, but I'll be in the shower sometimes and I'll just be thinking about dumb stuff that I did in the past, and I'll just be like, ah. And one thing that I did was I would try to like line up my front, but I have
Oh,
three widow's peaks.
yeah,
I have widow's peaks,
yeah.
and and then like the 2 days later they're grown
They're growing
that
back
you could
in.
see,
Yeah.
and then now you're invested because now you have to keep removing it so you don't look dumb. And then one day if you want to one day I was like, you know what, forget it, let it grow. And I stayed like for a few days with a beanie on, just so nobody would see my hair. And then after that, there I was an idiot, bro. Do you have clients like that want you
Oh
to line them
yeah,
up with
yeah, yeah. Especially the guys who get like like skin fades and shit, like the skin fades with like the side parted haircuts, and they get the fucking the razored in part with the the lineup in the front. And but like, dude, like
yeah,
it's funny because I don't know, I don't think I've seen you or mentioned it to you, but when Dashi passed, I shaved my head. Like I just took like a beard
yeah,
trimmer and just like shaved my whole head, and like put my hair as like an offering in the lion when we lit it on fire. And so And so it was my
Wow.
first time being, short haired since I was like in like high school, like or in middle school, because my brother used to cut my hair, and he would just give me like, like a two on top and like a zero along the sides, like with like a little fade,
Yeah.
and he would always fucking want to line me up, and I'd be like, nah, dude, like I don't want, those like sharp corners. But the one
Yeah.
time he did it on me, and I was like fresh out of high school. And I was, dude, I was so bummed. I was like, dude, this shit sucks. Like, I don't want anyone to fucking see my forehead.
A haircut by itself makes you look fresh. You don't need the
No, that's
lineup.
true, man. A lot of my clients, they'll, if they're coming in for the first time, they'll ask me like, "Hey, can you not line me up?" And I'll be like, "Oh, I would
Yeah.
never do that. Like, I would never do that unless you ask." Like, "Oh, well, a lot of barbers I go, and before you say anything, they're already, the razors on your forehead. Like, they're already like, doing that lineup." And I'm just like, "Yeah, like we don't do that shit here. Like, we'll do it if you ask, but we're not gonna do it just because, like."
And what made you honestly? What made you get a career as a barber?
Well, dude, I always loved it. I always loved it. I always wanted to do it. And like, watching my brother cut hair, it was always so cool to me. And like I loved getting a haircut. I loved going to the barber shop. Like, but I didn't
Yeah.
really start to appreciate it until I left New York and I came here to LA. I feel like the first time I got a haircut that I loved was when I moved to New York. And I remember this guy
Oh,
Miles, he was cutting my hair and I loved it. And like when I moved from New York to LA, I met my first mentor, Omar, and he just kind of like helped me love my hair. He really like helped me understand like what looks good on me. Like, he was such a good barber. And so I don't know if you remember this, but there was a period in time, dude, where like I would come to LA from Vegas like once a month to come get my haircut. I would
yeah,
I would find a different excuse to come, right? It wasn't just to get a haircut, but I would be like, okay, like, oh, all my friends are going to this like punk show or whatever. Like, well, I'm gonna tag along so that in the process I can also get a haircut. So I
yeah,
was always getting haircuts out here, and then actually one of the dudes that I was like playing in bands with, and one of my friends out there, he decided to go to barber school, and I watched him do it, and honestly, watching him do it just made me realize like, why the fuck aren't I doing it? You know what I mean? Like what's stopping me from doing it? And
mm,
and I was working at I had left Marc Jacobs. I was at this company called Vince. And I
yeah,
was, I was really good at my job, man. I was making good money, like, and then one day it just kind of clicked where I was like, dude, I'm gonna be 30 years old soon, and
yeah.
I want to work. I want my hard work to to benefit me the most. Like I felt like I was putting in so
Of
much hard
course.
work and so much dedication into these companies and like perfecting my job for these companies when I was like, bro, like they're seeing money that I'll never see in my life. You know what I mean? Like my hourly wage will always be determined by them. My hourly wage will always be just like whatever they're willing to give me, and that's just kind of what I can do. I can always try to find a better job, but it's just I just felt like, why is my hard work benefiting somebody else more than it benefits me? Like I need something that's like, if I work super hard, it's going to pay off for me. And if I fall off and I stop caring, like, the only one who it's going to hurt is me. Like I want to be accountable and responsible for my money. And seeing that dude like finish barber college, and like, I was like, you know what, dude, I want to do it. I want to do it too. It was something that always interested me. And like I got super lucky, man, because the barber schools in Vegas, I think there's only two. One of them is this guy Mr. B,
Yeah,
and that's where I was gonna go. And this dude is like a total
yeah.
scumbag. Like he's just like he encourages you to like pay the entire tuition for the school up front in cash. And like, like we'll be like,
Mm,
oh well, the school's normally like 14,000, but if you pay me 9,000 in cash, we'll call it
mm,
even. And then he'll do shit like, he'll kind of like push you off to the side and like make it harder for you to graduate, because once your license expires as a student, you have to pay him again in order to like reinstate your license. And so he just pretty much just
oh
uses, he's just
man.
a really scummy dude. And so I had already gone there. I took my placement test with him. I was like literally like 90% of the way done into going in. I had already had the cash ready and everything. And my first mentor, Omar, he's really well known in like the rockabilly world. He's a famous rockabilly musician. Um,
Yeah.
and his band had headlined that Viva Las Vegas, that big like rockabilly festival. And
Yeah.
he was in town, and we were supposed to hang out, and we didn't get time to hang out. And so he calls me on his way home, and he tells me like, "Oh, sorry we didn't get to hang out, but I want to catch up. What's up going on in your life?" And I just told him, I was like, "Hey, dude, guess what? Like, I'm starting barber school in like a couple months." And he was like, "Why?" Like he's like, "You never told me you had an interest in cutting hair. Like why are you going to barber college?" And I was like, "Oh, I just want to, man. Like it's something I've wanted, and I'm finally gonna do it." And he told me immediately, he's like, "Dude, barber college is a fucking scam. Like it's a scam, and the guys who run it are 9 times out of 10 running a scam. Like it's literally like, don't do it. Like he was like, just don't do it." And I was like, "Well, what's the alternative?" And he told me that here in the state of California, you can get a license through an apprenticeship. You can find a mentor, and they put their license
Oh,
up with the state. That in turn gives you a license, which is an apprenticeship license. You complete a certain amount of hours at the barber shop, a certain amount of hours at a barber school, and then once you complete those hours, you can take the exam for your state board license. And so he offered to me, he was like,
wow.
"Look, like I have two apprentices that are moving, up from, they're going to become full-time apprentices from being porters, just like the guys who like sweep the hair and clean and set appointments and answer the phones and buy lunch, and those like the shop help." He was like, "My shop help guys are finally getting
Yeah.
chairs because some things are happening in the shop." He was like, "If you'd be willing," he was like, "to come here and work as a porter, scrubbing toilets and sweeping hair for a
Mhm.
year," he was like, "I will reward you with my license, and then you can go get your own license, and then we'll start the apprenticeship program." And so I was like, "Yeah, dude, like I'm down, fuck it. Like I'm not beneath that. Like I don't care. Like sweeping hair, like I don't care. Like I love that barbershop, dude. Like that barbershop to me was, the greatest barbershop in the world. Like so when I saw that I had an opportunity to
Yeah.
eventually work there, I was like, I can't pass this up. This is like, me starting my career at Vinny's for me felt like a kid in high school going from playing high school basketball, going straight to the NBA. So I was just like, dog, like I can't turn this down. These are the greatest some of the greatest barbers in America. Like I have to. So I moved out here, and
Wow.
I worked as a porter, and I was expected to work as a porter for a whole year until I was allowed to get my chair and blah blah blah. And then things happened really quick at Vinny's, and I applied myself and like put in the work and kind of exceeded what was asked of me, and I got my apprenticeship license within like 3 months of working there. So
Wow. It's interesting because I have been uh, very, very interested in. Well, I've looked up that school
yeah,
that you're talking about. That I knew that there was
yeah,
only two schools because I have talked about with the girlfriend that I had. Uh, we would talk about me possibly becoming a barber and owning a barber shop, and she would tell me like, you should go take the classes. And she's like, I'll even help you with the money, and you know just
yeah,
take the classes. And because it was either that or start
yeah.
a printing company. And she, so the fact that you gave me that insight, and just talked about that, is so interesting that you can do that in California, but here in Vegas, you have to, the money that you basically would have given to this guy here in Las Vegas, you basically used that to basically live
Well,
in
yeah,
California,
but
I
dude,
imagine so.
the position that I got was so sick because, I had this like $10,000 in cash, dude, ready to give this teacher. Then, my mentor
Yeah.
Omar was like, "Well, come here and work as a porter." And so the job of a porter is to essentially just, do anything the barbers need, anything, but everything that's required of the barbers, I clean their stations, I book their
Yeah.
appointments, I, go get their food, I, just the shop help. So the price of me being in the shop to help them is every single day they give me the price of one haircut. So like the price of the haircut at the
Wow.
time was $30. So every single barber paid me $30 a
Wow.
day. So at the end of the week, I'm making $150 off each barber. You know what I mean? Like
Wow. So
I'm
you
pretty sure that that's what it turns out to, right? Like 30 times 5. Yeah, $150. Plus I had 5 barbers that I was working with, so I was making $750 a week in cash. Like just straight cash, unreported,
wow.
like my money. Um
While you were
huh?
working for your license, huh? And that's while you're
Yeah,
working
so I'm just
for
I'm
as an
it's
intern.
essentially like a paid
Wow.
apprenticeship program. Even though, I'm not going to say the job was easy, bro.
All right.
Like I was on my hands and knees, half of the day, like scrubbing,
No, no, no,
scrubbing
of course.
floors and sweeping hair and wiping down furniture and, cleaning their stations at the end of the day. Like, and my mentor, he would start early. He would start at like 7 and 6 in the morning. So sometimes I'd be there from, when he got there until 7, 8 o'clock at night. And then when I started finally learning how to cut hair, the only times that I was allowed to cut hair was after hours. So sometimes I'd be there from 7 in the morning, until 6 portering. And then I'd get, a friend who would be like, yeah, bro, I'll let you practice cutting hair on me. So then one of the barbers would stay behind with me, watch me do this haircut, oversee everything I was doing. So, dude, sometimes I'd work from, 7 in the morning until 8 9 at night. And then even for some time I was doing, 5 Tuesday through Saturday at the barber shop from between like 7 a.m. to like 6 p.m. Then on Saturdays and Sundays, at a bookstore from 6 to midnight, just to like make extra money. And then I was going to school on Mondays.
And California is really
What's that?
expensive, huh?
Oh yeah, dude.
California is really
What I
expensive,
for
huh?
what I pay for my bedroom, literally my bedroom, bro, in like a building that's built in the 1920s. I'm on the 5th floor, no elevator, no washer dryer, like no AC, no. I mean, it's a charming apartment. It's cool, but like for the price of my bedroom in my friend's apartment was the same price as the entire rent for the house I lived in that was 4 bedrooms with AC and washer and dryer and a 2-car garage. And, like my rent when I left
Wow.
Vegas was like $300. And here I pay
Wow.
$1,200 a month just for my bedroom.
And how much did you pay
Well, in
in
New
New
York,
York?
the last like couple months I was there, I was living with Cooper, and that was like I wasn't paying anything. I got super lucky because his roommate had like gone to China, and I was like staying in his room for free. But when I was living with my friend Andrea, again it was kind of like a crashing scenario, so I was only giving her like $600-700 a month.
Did you get to uh familiarize yourself with the barbershop
No, I
community
really
in New
only knew
York?
2 barbershops. One of them was called Freeman's, and that's where I would get my haircut. And then there was another barbershop called The
Yeah.
Blind Barber, and I knew them because they were friends of the boutique I worked for in New York for Self Edge. And so like some of the other guys from Self Edge got their
Okay.
haircut there at Blind Barber, and they were just like friends of friends, like friends with the owner and that kind of thing. But I went to Blind Barber once. I didn't really
Okay.
like the haircut very much, and then I went to Freeman's where I met Miles, who was like a customer of mine at Self Edge, and he was like the one who was like, "Come get a haircut, dude." And I went to him, and that was the first time that I was like, "Yo, like this shit's tight." Like I love getting my haircut here.
So I know that you really didn't get to familiarize yourself with the barbershop community in New York, but can you see a difference between barbers in New York and
I mean, in
California?
terms of like people, I can't really speak much on it, but like, so the barber experience that I've had here in Los Angeles has been pretty specific because the barbershop where I started was like a rockabilly barbershop. Like the owner was like, big in the rockabilly world, and then he started a big rockabilly label in California with this guy, and like 4 of the other like big names on his label were also barbers at my barber shop. So my experience at Vinny's
Okay.
was, I'm sure different than most, because you there's different, like, it's weird, like the barbering world is kind of like the music world, where like it's not just one genre, right? Like it's not just barbering. Like you have like, rap style barbers and hip hop barbers, and then you have like, you know, rockabilly and like whatever barbers, and like punk barbers, and like that there's all these different styles of cutting hair, and then you have like the hairdresser barbers, the guys that are doing like all the crazy, like, fucking colors, and texturization and blow drying, and
Yeah.
shampooing and that kind of stuff, where like, my style is more like traditional classic barbering. So a lot of like, simple and like pompadours, and, side parted haircuts, and, flat tops, and, like a lot more like shear work and shaping and sculpting, instead of like, just doing like what, what like the quote unquote like fuckboy barbers would be doing, just doing like skin fades and fucking designs, and razored in parts, and lineups, and
Yeah.
the fucking ice pick sideburns and all that crazy shit that like, so it's different. Like what I've been exposed to out here is very different. Like you could even call like the barbering that I do like, it's very traditional and classic, but out here it's also very like hipster. It's like, because you exclude a lot of people when your haircut, it costs $35, right? Like some people are like, well, I'm only used to paying $12, or
Yeah.
$8 or $15. So when you tell them $35 a haircut, they're like, fuck
Mm,
that, I'm not doing that. Like, so you do kind of exclude a lot of people in that, in setting your own
mm.
prices so high, but you end up getting a different kind of clientele. So my experience compared to like the New York experience is like, I think just the kind of barbering that I've been exposed to is so different than like the kind of barbering I found out there. So that would for sure be the biggest difference.
Yeah.
And then, every barber shop is different, man. Like that, they all have their own culture, and this is the culture that I've been kind of brought into, is the more like rockabilly, like classic traditional barbering, like, kind of vintagey barbering.
And you sound very thankful to find that culture as the culture who basically helped you create a career as a barber. And what you said about like the fuck boys, because I saw a video on YouTube the other day where this barbershop was like spraying like
Yeah,
sideburns and
with the
beards
fibers.
on like,
Yeah, that shit's wild, bro. Yeah, we
yeah,
don't do that shit
exactly,
at the
with the
shop. Like
fibers.
we just don't offer it. It's just not something we
Yeah.
consider doing.
Did you find it hard to start a social life when
No,
when you
dude,
went to
I was
California?
the my first mentor, the owner of the shop, Omar, was a good friend of mine, and the my current mentor, Aria, him and I had already become friends for years through me going to Vinny's, and so he was like immediately, my closest friend out here, and then also like I had several friends from Vegas who live here in LA. So like, do you remember Danny On? Danny On lives here. So me and him, we spent a lot of time
Oh, that's
together. A
cool.
couple other friends from LA or from Vegas live here. And did you ever meet Ray? He's actually my roommate. I've been living with him the whole time I've been living here in LA. Moving out here wasn't a huge difference for me in terms of like lacking, resources, or lacking like a community, or a group of friends. The biggest problem for me moving out here was just leaving my girlfriend back in Vegas, which she's actually here right now. She's visiting. She's here in the apartment with me right now.
Oh, okay. So how do you
Dude, it
manage a
sucks.
long distance
Oh yeah,
relationship?
dude,
Does
it sucks. I don't recommend
Yeah,
it. It
man.
sucks.
Yeah, because I mean, even like I just ended a relationship, and I mean,
Yeah.
she was here in town, and we could only see each other like once a week, and it felt like a long distance relationship sometimes. And so I can only imagine how
Oh
much it
yeah,
sucks the
man.
person that you want to like
It
hold
sucks, bro.
and they're
Especially
not
because, like,
there,
I mean,
man.
me and my
Oh,
girl, we've been together, like, we're approaching 5 years this year. And for this entirety of our relationship, we only ever lived in the same city for 7 months. And like I'm a baby, man. Like I'm a big emotional brat, so missing someone for me is like so fucking hard. Like I like I feel like she deals with missing someone better than me. Like I lose my shit, like I get impatient, I get like, I just get anxious. Like it sucks. Like it missing someone for me is a very hard thing to live with. So yeah, long distance sucks, bro.
Bro, Kevin, I understand exactly what you mean, bro. And it is terrible. I feel sometimes like the person I was with, um even at times she would be normal, like she was okay not seeing me. And
Yeah.
dude, I feel, because I live alone right now, I live alone, so living alone makes it worse because I feel like a
Yeah,
caged
dude, it
animal
sucks.
sometimes,
It
bro.
sucks. And I'm very fortunate to have Aria,
Yeah.
my best friend and mentor out here. We see each other every day. I see him more than anybody, because we work together. And right now, the barbershop is just me and him. So like we're either talking to our clients or we're talking to each other. So we're as close as can be. We're with each other every day. So that definitely brings some comfort into my life, but also like I've got friends and like I got Ray here, but Ray actually spends a lot of time not at home and we kind of have opposite schedules. So we can easily go like a week without seeing each other.
Yeah, and you know, at the beginning of a relationship, when you first are getting to know each other, that it's like it's like fire. I don't know,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term, fireworks, and like you
Oh
feel
yeah.
you like always want to be next to them, always. Like for me, that hasn't changed. Like it just
Yeah.
it multiplies
Yeah, man.
every day. So I understand what you mean. But one thing I wanted to ask you is,
Oh man.
how did COVID affect the barbershop
Dude,
and the
LA
business, and
is
how is
an
LA right now?
extremely um it is entirely different. Like from that initial shutdown in March when like everything was forced to close and everyone was like put into quarantine, like LA is at a way slower pace than Las Vegas. So like COVID actually, that barbershop that I first moved to actually shut down during COVID. So it's gone. Like it's gone forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it sucks because even
Wow.
now where COVID is in a better place and people are feeling more comfortable coming out and getting haircuts, like we're still cutting with masks on. We can't cut your beard or your mustache or anything because we can't have you take your mask off. So for all of last
Oh,
year, so all of
what?
2020 and up until now, I think we were shut down like 7 months out of the year. So we only worked like what 5 6 months, like
Wow.
something like that. Like, dude, like it was a constant fear of like, are we gonna lose the barbershop? Like, how are we gonna pay our bills? Like, and us being independent contractors, we don't qualify for a lot of the same
Wow.
programs that like people who have regular jobs qualify for, like unemployment and health insurance and all these other big things. I mean, we
Yeah.
fortunately did get unemployment, but for me it was kind of like a workaround. I only got unemployment because I was lucky enough to have had that side job at the bookstore.
And did you do I know a lot of barbers at the height of COVID, I know a
No,
lot of
man, I
barbers were
was
doing
honestly
house
just
calls. Did
so
you do house
afraid of
calls?
getting sick, and more so, I think I was more so afraid of getting someone sick. Like, so I think recently during this recent
Yeah.
shutdown that happened in like in like December, November, December, we did do some
Yeah.
like some cutting at in my mentor's garage. He has like a station set up in his garage, but I would only do
Yeah.
like maximum 5 haircuts a day, and I was only doing it like once to twice a week. And yeah, no, man, my biggest fear was like,
Oh, okay.
not getting just getting somebody sick and like being like, oh yeah, bro, like come to my house, and then like somehow I drag COVID into this person's house and like their parents die, or like I was just like, dude, I couldn't live with myself, so I was like, I would rather just like burn into my savings and like, find other ways to deal with like paying my bills than to like potentially hurt or, kill somebody. I was like, it's not worth it. Like, because you think about it, right? And like a house call, like I didn't want to like capitalize on the situation and be like, oh well, if I'm gonna come to your house, it's gonna be $150 for a haircut. Like, that didn't feel fair to me. So I was like, I'm not gonna raise my
Yeah.
prices. And then it was like, well, is $35 really worth me, getting my tools together, doing all this, coming to your house, cutting your hair in some, Mickey Mouse situation where I have you like sitting on a fucking, bar stool in your house. You know what I mean? Like, so I was just like, dude, like, it's not worth it, bro. Like, it's not worth the money.
Yeah.
It's not worth the risk, and so I didn't do it. Me and my mentor, we didn't do house calls or any of that stuff.
And did you expect
Jeez,
everything
no, man, not
to
even
turn
close.
into what it? I know nobody expected COVID,
No,
but
yeah.
did you get
Pretty
sick,
much
or did
everyone in
anybody
my
around you
family
get
at
sick?
some point got COVID. Like my brother, my mom, my little sister. My dad didn't, thankfully. But like a ton of my friends got it. Like I felt like it was
Yeah.
everywhere, But I've been very fortunate to not get it,
Yeah.
or at least, maybe got it and was unaware because I was like asymptomatic. But I was on top of it, dude. I was getting tested like every Monday, like especially while I was working. I was getting tested every Monday in order to make sure that I was like, not wasn't contagious so that I can go to work. And like I've been very good about, putting myself at risk or others around me at risk. And I'm very fortunate. I didn't get sick, and my girlfriend didn't either. And we've been very, very lucky and very blessed by not having gotten COVID. So that's been tight.
I think that me and my girlfriend at that time we got sick because
Mm.
it was before everything happened. We didn't even, it was like probably in, or everything shut down in like March of 2020. I think we got sick like at the beginning of February, and she got sick first. And the reason we think it was COVID is because all of the symptoms were what they were saying. Like we both couldn't breathe. And yeah, after she got sick, I think she got me sick because I didn't care. Like she's like, don't like try to get near me, or I don't want you to get sick. And I was like, I don't care. Like, and then like 4 days
Jeez.
later, like I was on the couch like with the exact same issues. And yeah, I think, but we never got diagnosed as having COVID because we didn't go to the doctor. But because we thought it was just like the flu, or we thought we were just like it was like regular being sick. And then like when everything
Yeah.
started happening in March, we were like, I think we both got it.
Yeah, man.
And
I'm glad that,
yeah, man,
it's
that's
what you had, that
crazy.
you were
Well, I'm
okay, but yeah, dude, like it was scary. It was really scary. And like
yeah.
I was even a little extra scared because when everyone started getting sick and talking about like, oh, I think I had it back in December, or like, I'm getting it now and I'm experiencing the symptoms, I realized that I was like, I haven't gotten sick one time since I moved to Los Angeles. Like I haven't gotten like a cold or, a sore throat or the flu or like
Oh, okay.
anything. So I was like, when you don't get sick for a long time, like that next time that you're gonna
Yeah.
get sick is gonna fuck you up because you have like no antibodies. Your body's like cruising. So I was like, dude, if I get sick, like I'm gonna suffer. You know what I mean? Like, so I was just like, I mean I've pretty much gone like 3 years
Oh
without getting
man.
like sick. So I was just like scared. I was like, fuck. Like if I get
Yeah.
sick, I'm gonna get fucking sick. Like I don't have allergies. I've nothing. Like I've been, healthy as a horse. So like I was really afraid of getting COVID because I was like, dude, like,
Yeah.
I haven't gotten ill in so long that, I'm nervous for the next time that I do.
Yeah, and the reason I think that my girlfriend, that she did get COVID, because she is from Mexico and from a ranch in Mexico. And
Yeah.
bro, she never gets sick. She doesn't get sick. Like she's so healthy that like bro, I think like viruses in her body actually they're afraid of her. Like I think that because she never gets sick, bro. So I think she probably, like, you know how you have to take a vaccine of a little bit of the virus to never be sick. I think she's like a walking vaccine.
Yeah,
So
she's
when
just
she got
normally
sick,
immune to everything.
that's how I knew it was serious, because I know I'm saying my girlfriend because we
Yeah,
it's just
it's a hard habit to
we're
break, man. Like this
barely
person,
like
I'm sure was
broken
in your
up, and
life for a
it's
long
really hard.
time,
So
and I'm sure you still see her as this person, and it's a hard
oh my gosh,
image to
bro.
break, in your mind. Like
First time I ever saw her, like, oh my god, bro. Like
that's because you're that's because you're a
I
cochino,
yeah.
dude. Man, you're a good guy. You're a good looking guy, so I'm sure it was something special.
Oh, thank you, man. Oh man. You know what's funny? That she would always tell me that I say to myself about that. I always talk about my good looks, but I only do that to her because I know she always tell in Spanish. Siempre me dice, tienes que dejar a otra gente que te diga, no te digas tú solito. And
No,
and
yeah,
I
you're
mean, I
you're a
know
pretty
you've
bashful
known
guy
me,
for
and
sure.
I never do that. Like I've never talked about. So I do that to her to because I know she's like, no dejas de ser tú. Like
That's
you
good, man.
don't. And man, dude,
Yeah,
I'm so happy to talk to you, man. Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you:
I
did
didn't,
you
bro. I
find
didn't.
your old
Yes.
pictures of Doug?
So
Because I
yeah, I
remember
had this
last
like whole
time.
mix up with those hard
No.
drives and whatever, but I'm honestly convinced that Gabe still has that hard drive in a computer that I gave him a long time ago. So eventually he'll dig that thing up from his dad's house and we'll find out if it's in there, and if it's in there, I'll try to do the same process. But yeah, bro, and like Doug's actually going through some shit right now. I mean, he recently
Oh,
got like
okay.
diagnosed as like pre-diabetic and was like on the verge of having to get like insulin injections every 12 hours for the rest of his life. And yeah, it was a whole thing, but he's getting better, bro. We're, we got him on this like new diet that should,
Oh
put him in like
man.
a better position. But he's old, bro. He's 12 years old now.
Really? Wow. See,
Yeah.
man. When me and you lived together in Henderson, I mean, it took Doug a while to like get comfortable to be around me, and then next thing
Dude,
I
but
knew,
I'm
he
sure
was
that
like
happened
on my
with
bed. I'd
several
get
people
home, and then
besides
he was
Doug.
on
I'm
my
sure you'd
bed.
come home and there'd be all kinds of I'd be laying in your bed, dude. The bed was so sick.
You're right, bro. Actually, when I was living at Gabe's house, uh, Gabe's dad one morning, he's like, I feel so sorry for that boy, because Gabe told me he said this. He's like, I feel so sorry for Alex because Brianna and Brittany would always sleep in my bed, and he's like Alex doesn't get a chance to sleep on
I
his
know,
own
bro. That
bed,
was that
and
was and it was all the time. Like it would get late and I'm like, I'm gonna go home, and you'd just be like, bro, just sleep in my bed.
yeah,
Like, and I would ask Gabe, like, bro, like I feel bad taking his bed. He's like,
yeah.
dog, he sleeps on the floor or on the couch every night. Like he's literally never in his bed. So I was like, all right, fuck it.
And but yeah, man,
It's been a long time, bro.
it's been so long. I mean, since I've actually seen you in
I
person.
hope
I,
so
I
too,
hope
man.
I
We'll
hope
make it work. I was just out there
one
this
day
last weekend. I
I
saw
could see
Gabe.
you.
I went to his new
Did
apartment and stuff, and it's nice. It's nice. It's a little different to
Oh
see
yeah, how's
Gabe
his
outside of
apartment? I haven't
his
been
parents'
there.
home because it's a little different, but it's nice, man. It's
So
nice to see him,
much,
kind of like doing his own thing with his family,
man.
and getting things together with Moni and Selena, and just kind of like it's great. It's good.
I
It's good for him.
Man, bro, I didn't expect to see Gabe
Yeah,
as a father. I thought
yeah.
I probably would be a
But dude,
father
he's
first
he's bro. He's such a
before
good
seeing
dad.
Gabe become a
Oh
father.
my
Do you
god,
want to
dude,
be a
he's
father,
such a
bro?
good dad. It's crazy. Like Gabe's such a cool dad. Monica
Are
is
cool,
such a
right?
cool
Yeah,
mom. She's they have taught her such like emotional
yeah,
maturity at such a young age that like she's gonna be able to understand this stuff very young. She's gonna understand like my parents
yeah,
are cool. Like kind of like Elijah. Like you remember Elijah? Like he he always knew like I have special parents. Like my parents
yeah.
are better and more accepting and more cool than anybody else's parents. And I feel like she's gonna grow up that way. Gabe isn't gonna be just her dad. He's gonna be her best friend. And that's such a sick relationship that to see Gabe like do that with his child. It's really special.
Oh man, how about you, bro? Do you
No,
anticipate
I don't think so.
a father being a father
I
in the
think
future?
like I don't think I'll ever be that person who's like, oh, like I'm ready for kids. I want kids. But like if I, came home and my girl was like, I'm pregnant, like
Yeah,
I would consider it to be an absolute blessing. I'd be very excited, and like I would see it as like this wonderful thing in my life, and not like, oh fuck, now I gotta be a dad. Like I'd be very happy. But I don't think that I'll ever just be like, yeah, like I want this. But my girl, she's really not like into
yeah.
kids, and she's pretty unconventional with that kind of stuff. Like she's not super into like kids, and not super into like,
Oh, okay.
she just had like, like us, man. She grew up in kind of like a, harsh childhood, and I think to her it's kind of like, I'd rather just kind of like live this way and live for, myself and for my
Yeah.
relationship, instead of like bringing more kids into, a world that, most people like us who grew up in like broken families will be like, dude, like the world sucks, and like why bring more kids into it? But who knows, man? I think her perspective is like slowly
No,
changing. Like
I
when we first started
completely
dating, it was very
understand.
much like, I don't want to get married, I don't want kids, like, blah blah blah. And like now we talk about getting married all the time. We talk about that all the time. We talk about like potentially having kids all the time, but we talk about being a family, but like that doesn't always mean children. That just means like being together, and like maybe having, a home and pets and shit, like, so.
Damn, bro,
Color, bro.
it's making me miss my girl. I want to hold her in my
Were
arms
you
right
be were
now.
you being
Like
a
that's
toxico?
she's ignoring me right now. I'll sit here in my room thinking about her, and then it gets to the point where it's like, the image
Yeah.
of a of a thermometer that reaches the top and then it breaks, and then
Yeah, bro.
I reach a boiling point, and I want to run to her, and just see her. And there's times where I do that, and then she's reciprocates, and she's happy, and she smiles, and she
Yeah.
holds me and everything that I want. And then there's times where she's just like with the
Yeah.
brazos cruzados. And
Yeah,
but yeah. Yeah, I'll probably upload this one just because you've
yeah,
given a lot of insight on barber becoming a barber. I don't know if you're okay with that, but you gave the entire process
for
of
sure, man.
from your
And of
internship
course,
to
if you
being a
wanna,
barber, and
bring this up
that's very
when we
insightful.
talk all together, like, we can just bring it up again, or if you wanna upload that, that's cool too, man. Whatever. Like, it's
Yeah,
your.
definitely.
Okay, so as you could see, the quality of that recording wasn't at the best that it can be. You could hear that his voice was a lot lower than mine, and also you can hear where we were beginning to drift out of sync. And one thing, if you're gonna use this Anchor application and you're gonna use the feature that allows you to record with friends remotely, um, on your phone, before you begin to use the app, close out all of your applications and all your background apps that you're not going to use. Close those out, and clear the cache on all your big applications, the ones that you use every day, the ones that build up a lot of cache, and clear the cache out on the Anchor app as well, because that's going to allow your phone to not process data on anything else, and it'll allow your phone to focus on your audio recording more than anything else. So anything that's running in the background, your phone has to also focus on that. So if you close all that out, you will allow your phone to basically focus on your audio, and it'll process it a lot better. And your environment, make sure that you're in an environment that's not going to allow you to build an echo. And if you're going to attach a microphone to your phone, because I just used the microphone off my phone, and I used a pop filter. And you also want to tell your friend on his side that he tell him to close all his background apps and to clear the cache on his biggest apps. And basically that's it. What you want to do is, since you're not going to be able to adjust any settings like if you would on a recording program, like in a recording studio, since you don't have any of the audio recording tools that you normally use when recording a podcast. Since we don't have any of those and we're using Anchor, we basically rely on Anchor to give us the best quality recording and process our audio to the best of its ability. So what we want to do is we try to work with Anchor and do our best to ensure that they process the best audio that they can, because when you record, let's say you record together in a recording studio and you record on a program, on a recording program, like I use Audacity, you're able to record every individual microphone that a person is on. You're able to record them as an individual track. So when you want to edit every single track, it's easier. Now I know that this can be a lot to understand if you're not necessarily if you're new to recording or you've never recorded audio before. But with Anchor, when the audio is processed, it's only saved out as one track, both my voice and his. So that makes it harder when I want to edit it, because if it would have saved it out as two tracks, then I can easily sync up his voice with mine. Also, during the conversation, you want to try not to cut your friend off, because then that creates that can create a possibility of going out of sync. So yeah, basically that's it. And I hope this helped. I know it isn't much, but I hope that I hope you guys can use it. All right, guys, see you on the next one.